All right, second grade. Today we're going to be learning lesson 5, faces, edges, and vertices of three-dimensional shapes. We are going to be starting on page 765. You need to turn there and you need to have a pencil ready. We're going to start by connecting the dots. We're going to start at number 1, move to number 2, go to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What 3D shape did we make? We made a sphere. And on the next page, we're going to learn about the faces, edges, and vertices of a sphere and all the other 3D shapes. So please turn to page 366. All right. You can describe three-dimensional shapes by the number of faces, edges, and vertices. They're giving you an example of each one with the sphere. A face is the flat surface of a 3D shape. The edge is where the two faces meet. Okay, so I always like just to think the lines or the edges. And the vertices are where the three or more faces meet. Okay, and so I always like to think that's the point of each 3D shape. So the face is the flat surface. The edges are your lines, your edges of each shape. And then your vertices, your vertexes, are your points on the 3D shapes. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're going to name how many faces, edges, and vertices are on each 3D shape. So for a cube, you would want to count all the faces. That's all the flat edges. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces on a sphere. So we're going to write 6 right there. And then edges, we would count the lines, all the lines that we would see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 edges. And then we would count the vertices, and the vertices are all the points. Okay, so we would count all of our points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 points on each one of those. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our rectangular prism. What's nice about the rectangular prism is very similar to the cube. Okay, so the cube has the same amount of vertices, faces, and edges. Okay, so a rectangular prism, if we were to count all the flat areas, there would be 6 faces. If we were to count the edges, which are all the lines, there would be 12 edges. And if we were to count all the vertices, which is all the points, there would be 8 vertices. Now let's try our pyramid. If we counted all of our flat surfaces on this pyramid, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. If we were to count all the edges, which are all the lines, the straight lines, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we were to count the vertices, which are all the points, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, pyramid can change depending on what the shape at the bottom of the pyramid is. So this shape at the bottom is a triangle, but sometimes other pyramids will have a square at the bottom of the pyramid. And so therefore your edges and vertices would be different for that one. So just be cognizant that when you're doing your faces, edges, and vertices, that you look for the pyramid and make sure that it's either a triangle or a square at the end before you do your edges and your vertices. A sphere is super easy. Just like with a circle, there are no sides and angles. For a sphere, there are no faces, edges, or vertices. Talk math. What figure has 6 equal faces? 6 equal. That means they're the same shape. And that would be a cube. And we know because a cube is a square all the way around. Each one of its faces is the same shape. It's a square. When you're done with this page, you may go on to page 767. All right. Now we're going to circle the shapes that match the description. So number 5 says, which one has 0 faces, 0 edges, and 0 vertices? And the only one that would be the sphere. All right, let's look at number 6. Which one of these shapes has 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices? Well, it can actually be 2. It could be the rectangular prism, and it could be the square. 7. Which one of these has 5 faces, 5 edges, and 5 vertices? Well, we know it's not the sphere because it has 0. We know it's not the sphere because they have 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. Oh, but let's look at this pyramid. It has a square at the bottom, and the one we learned on the other page had a triangle. So let's go through and count our faces, edges, and vertices to be sure. And then, but I think that's what it'll probably be. So let's count our flat surfaces, our faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Count our edges, which are our lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. And then let's count our vertices, which are our points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So this pyramid was the one that I was telling you about. So remember, pyramids can have a triangle on the bottom or a square, and this one had a square. So therefore, the faces, edges, and vertices. All right, let's look at number 8. Which one has 6 equal faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices? So this one's tricky because they're asking for equal faces. And the only one that has equal faces is the sphere. The rectangular prism does not have equal faces. Okay, there's rectangles and and squares as their faces. Let's look at our next one, number 9. Circle the objects that match the description. Which real world shape has 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices? I think it would be this present and this block. This one looks like a cylinder. Number 10, which one has 0 faces, 0 edges, and 0 vertices? That would be our basketball. And it looks like that one. Yep, or orange. All right, number 11, 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. Looks like this one would be the only one. And number 12, which one has more than 2 faces, more than 0 vertices? And it looks like the pyramid would be the only one there. So to recap, a face are the flat edges, all the flat. The edges are all the lines, and the vertices are all your points. You really have to use your imagination when you're doing these and be able to really see in your head where those flat surfaces, edges, and vertices are when they're not pictured. When you're done with this page, please go to 768. All right, number 13. Mindy drew the 3 shapes below. Circle the shape that has 6 faces and 12 edges. Well, we know it's not the sphere. And our pyramid has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces, so we know it's not the pyramid. A rectangular prism has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. Count the lines: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. Looks like our rectangular prism has 6 faces and 12 edges. Brain builders, how many faces does a cone have? Does a cone have a vertex? So it has one face and 0 vertices. And the reason why I'm sorry, guys, my computer today is just not doing well. I'm going to write it over here so you can see it. Well, maybe not. 0 vertices because there are not 3 edges that meet to make a vertex for the cone. So it does have one face, a cone does, but it has 0 vertices because there are not 3 lines that meet to connect to that point. Number 15, which shape does not belong? Circle it and explain why it does not belong. I'm going to go with the sphere, and I'm going to say that because all the other shapes have circular curved surfaces. Again, I apologize for my handwriting. My computer is just moving so slow today. So that says all have curved surfaces. I tried to write it in the small sentence I could. So all of them have curved surfaces. So the one that doesn't belong is the sphere because it doesn't have any curved surfaces. When you're done today, you can go on to page 769 and 770 to do your homework. And please let me know if you have any questions. I know this is a harder chapter and it can be kind of confusing, especially when when you guys don't get to use the real shapes in person. And I can't really show you those real shapes. So please let me know if you have any questions.